Hello everyone, and welcome to another episode of Real Film Talk. My name is Will Braunlich. Now sit back, grab some snacks, and enjoy the review. I think you can tell which movie we're going to be discussing today, and even though we're a little bit late, I thought I'd try to get a review out as soon as I can. Today, we will take a look at the new Insidious! Okay, fine, we're reviewing Oppenheimer. Here is my reaction for the trailer. Normally I'd have a funny joke to follow this, but I'm just excited to see this trailer, not waste any time. Let's take a look at Oppenheimer. Massive explosion. Michael Bay's dream come true.
We imagine a future. And our imaginings horrify us.
Definitely sounds like Christopher Nolan writing right there.
They won't fear it until they understand it.
He's trying to sound all deep and everything. It's supposed to mean something.
And they won't understand it until they've used it. Theory will take you only so far.
That's kind of cool, like little visuals.
I don't know if we can be trusted with such a weapon. But we have no choice.
The man, the myth, the legend.
Is anyone
Oh, he did Josh Peck. I just saw that.
going to tell the truth about what's happening here?
Hopefully everybody knows what's happening. Otherwise, we'd be in trouble. Nice little reveal of the release date there. Okay, so overall thoughts from seeing the trailer. It doesn't look like it reveals too much. In fact, I don't know if unless you know about the story of J. Robert Oppenheimer, you probably wouldn't know this was based on an actual story of a crucial point in World War II. I guess afterwards too. Christopher Nolan is a man who I think needs little to no introduction. I mean, he's made some tremendous movies. There's Memento. Like, if you ever want to go into filmmaking, then please watch Memento. It is a really good movie to start your, I guess, career off with. Also watch Interstellar, the Dark Knight trilogy, Inception. Although be aware that Inception's kind of confusing. But I don't think this will be confusing. I think it'll be pretty straightforward. It's like, okay, the enemy has a bomb and we need to finish one before they do. And it says it was gonna be shot in IMAX film. I can't imagine how epic that would be to see it in IMAX. I like some of the cast they had. I like Cillian Murphy. I think he's a man who doesn't get enough credit. And I'm glad that he's finally getting a main role. So I'm looking forward to seeing his performance in this one. I'm actually very excited. I think this is pretty high on my most anticipated of 2023. So I will go see this and I will finally give you my overall thoughts. Oppenheimer is written and directed by Christopher Nolan, as this tells the story of American scientist J. Robert Oppenheimer and his role in the development of the atomic bomb. Now, when it was announced that this movie was made, I knew I had to see it. One of the reasons being I love history. I think this is arguably one of the most important times in not just American history, but world history as well. I also am a fan of Christopher Nolan. I loved his work on Inception, the Dark Knight trilogy, and Interstellar. I will say I wasn't a fan of Tenet, which came out right around the time of the pandemic. I thought it was way too complicated. And yes, I also used an explained video for that too. And I didn't like the sound mixing, as the music just drowned out the dialogue from the characters. So when it was announced that Nolan was directing a movie about the atomic bomb and it features a cast with Cillian Murphy, Emily Blunt, Matt Damon, Robert Downey Jr. and more, I got excited, and it was pretty high on my list of movies to go see in 2023. Now, after seeing this movie on the biggest screen possible, I'm happy to report that this movie absolutely knocked everything out of the park. I think the acting in this movie was absolutely spectacular from every everyone involved, especially Cillian Murphy and Robert Downey Jr. Murphy plays the role well as someone who comes across as a little egotistical, but also quite eccentric. Him and Nolan are no strangers to one another, as he was in Batman Begins, The Dark Knight, Inception, and Dunkirk. I wanted to praise his performance after the testing of the bomb. He was seen as a hero, but to him, he realized he was playing God, and his facial expressions in the third act of this movie were more powerful than any words spoken. It's almost as if you're looking at a man who had all the power in the world and slowly began to realize, what have we done? I also liked his chemistry between him and Emily Blunt, who played Kitty, Oppenheimer's wife. I thought the dialogue felt real, and there was legit conflict between the two. It wasn't all sunshine and rainbows, and we actually felt the tension. I also want to address Robert Downey Jr.'s performance. His scenes mostly involve in moments after the events of the bomb, and while him and Murphy don't share a lot of scenes together, the way they work off each other each time they share the screen was pretty spectacular. It's also fair to point out that those scenes are shot in black and white, while the rest of the movie is shot in color, which I personally thought was a neat touch. I truly hope both Murphy and Downey get Oscar nominations for their roles. The writing in this movie was probably some of the best I've seen, not only this year, but perhaps of all time. Nothing really felt out of place, like we could cut a few things in the movie and it would just flow better. Everything felt necessary, and it really helped progress the plot. I want to point out something that I think a lot of people have mentioned that have seen this movie, is that it's very dialogue heavy for a 3-hour film. And if you're not a fan of slow moving stories and we're hoping for a bunch of action, then unfortunately this movie might not be for you. The only real action we get is when they're testing out the bomb, and even the events prior and after those were pretty intense too, as the characters are in a race against time against a common enemy. The music really added to the intensity as well. We got Ludwig Göransson composing the score for this movie, and while most people involve Nolan with Hans Zimmer, I think Göransson is a tremendous composer. I like a lot of work he's done. Some of his music involved the Black Panther movies and even The Mandalorian. He also helped with the music on Tenet, which I didn't think was as impressive as the music here. If you know me, one of the things I think could make a movie is a good score, and this has a great collection of music. One thing that was mentioned to me prior to seeing this movie was the audio mixing. While it is said to be better than Tenet, it still sometimes drowns out the dialogue given to us, and you really need to focus on the dialogue over the music. There are times when the music swells up and it gets a little loud, but that's my main criticism of the movie, but that's a small drop in the ocean. In the end, Oppenheimer is what everyone says it is, Nolan's magnum opus. While some might find it a little boring with it being 3 hours and stated before that's probably about 95% talking, everything felt important and didn't feel the need to be left out. The performances were magnificent, which I hope leads to some award nominations. I think Oppenheimer could potentially be a heavy awards contender. I say the audio mixing is probably the most distracting part, right around the third act, but like I said, it's a very small issue. I want to see this movie again just to experience it again. I hope everyone sees this as well. My grade for Oppenheimer will be an A+. Thank you all for watching this review. I hope you all enjoyed it. Until next time, this is Will Braunlich, and I will see you at the movies. Save a seat for me.
Funding for Simsbury Community Television is provided in part by contributions from viewers like you. Thank you.